welcome into the vault on this Tuesday evening. I appreciate you coming in tonight and spending some time hanging out. It is another cold night here in North Texas, and still shut in. My daughter is on about to be tomorrow will be her third day without school, so I know you guys up north are probably used to that maybe, but down here it's a little bit different story. So, but anyway, welcome in. I'm Jake, so I'm your host here at the Vault, and hopefully everyone is having a good evening. Um, First, before I get started, I just want to thank everybody again for all the subscriptions of late and checking out the stuff that we've been putting out. And especially yesterday, I put out a first of a new series I worked pretty hard on called Encounter Autopsy. And hopefully you have got a chance to look at that, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you liked it, let me know. If you didn't like it, some parts about it, let me know about that too. So any kind of feedback is welcome from my point of view. So that it took me forever to put that together, but just kind of learning the ropes, so to speak. But I'm proud of it, regardless of how it works out. But anyway, that's that. I'm probably going to do those from time to time, not regularly. I'm going to try and probably wait until I have a good encounter that's worthy of a video before I put something like that up. But I'm probably going to do some other series similar to that, in addition to some other reviews that I've got coming up. So there's content ahead. So I think on our Friday night stream, we're gonna take a look at we may take a look at the Coriolis the Great Dark, the campaign box for that, called Flowers of Algarab. So we may try that and just take a look. It may not be super in depth, but I want to at least do an unboxing and initial look at it, and then maybe a fuller dive into the adventure itself in a standalone video. But anyway, so tonight we have a few things ahead. We're going to take a look at a couple of Kickstarters that I found, and talk about a certain Reddit post that's going around, making the rounds on the RPG channels in the last couple of days. And I want to kind of give my take on that as well, as a longtime GM, and then we'll take a look a little deeper into one of the Kickstarters that we check out here in just a second. So let me bring that up. So this is one that came to my attention, called Oathhammer, the tabletop RPG. Now this is it is powered by the Perilous D6 dice pool system, which I have not heard about, and I'm interested to learn more about that, and hopefully we will a little bit later in the show tonight. But hey Kathy, welcome in. I have not heard of the Perilous D6. It is it's something that is interesting to me, but really it's the other things that are paired with that in the rules that looked kind of interesting. So it says that it emphasizes character oaths, intuitive combat, domain level play, crafting, and hexcrawl exploration, and that's kind of what drew me in. So it's this Kickstarter is done, but it's just now starting to come out. In fact, they released the quick start on DriveThruRPG, which I picked. It's free. I picked it up, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later. But it's a class. It's a class system paired with dice pool. So you can see kind of the classes there that they offer. And I'm just kind of briefly take a look at this here. Then you have your character lineages, and what was the? Let's see. Yeah, the rewards. That's what I was looking for. So you've got the book comes in the smaller 6x9 format, which is interesting. I kind of like those. They tend, especially if looking at the if the same layout is done as what appears here in the Kickstarter. I like that because it's kind of minimalist, so it makes it more of a digest type feel to it. But it looks like yeah, you get a GM screen, a map, and the book at various pledge levels. But anyway, that's something we're going to take a look at here in just a little bit. Like I said, the Kickstarter is over, but you can at least pick up the quick start of the rules, and I'm not sure if the full PDF is out yet or not. I'll need to take a look at that. But anyway, that's let's see here. All right, the other one, and this was just something that I thought was interesting. So this is the 2026 Quest calendar, and which is available for order right now. I thought this was really cool. So it is a little tear-off desk calendar, right? And you can, and apparently it's an actual game. So not only is it a calendar with the day on it, but it's a year-long, day-by-day adventure, and it comes with this little quest book too that you can grab. So so yeah, it comes with a lot here that you can grab. So it's got cards and dice and a dice tray and character sheets and things like that. So the quest planner here is pretty cool that you can record what happens. And then on each page you've got these nice art and these other little things that you can pick up along with it. Like I said, it's got the spiral bound character book, equipment sheets, and let's see. Oh yeah, and it comes with you can also get standees, I believe. So that's pretty interesting. Let's see what else. Trying to find what I saw. Okay, yeah, I think these are the bad guys. Yeah, the villains. The roster of villains. So you've got Grimrot Slinktail, the Plague Bringer. Yeah, it looks like that's. Of course, this is the Kickstarter ad, but it looks like more than just cardboard standee. It looks like it's either the plastic or could be wood. Not sure, but anyway, that's pretty cool. Severin Mortis, the Death Weaver, and a frail man, a sharp mind, and an endless hunger for power. That's cool. Ysora Kronemeyer, the Covenborn. Looks stereotypical witch there. That's neat. Nargle Nightbane, the Filth Reaper. That's a nickname I'm going to have to remember, the Filth Reaper. That's a good one. I'm going to have to reuse that one. Zeraphine Morgrave. That font's weird. It's hard to read. Zeraphine Morgrave, Blood Drinkers. Looks like some kind of tiefling there. Kargoth Stormcaller, the Battle Master. Yeah, there's your orc. And there's the quest planner. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, take a look at that. So you've got your calendar on there, your character sheets. That's really neat. Man, I might have to go and pick this up. This is pretty cool. Weekly Chronicle, Daily Scroll, Monthly Map. That's neat. Oh, okay. If you don't want to play with dice, then apparently you've got a dice roller built into the book. Just flip to a page, I guess, by random. close your eyes and flip to a random page. That's neat. And yeah, I guess here's the big plays for $200. Boy, you get a lot of stuff. Look at that. Character standees, bags, a plushie. It's like dice, of course. Then you get the calendar itself, the quest book, the character, spirals, cards. Wow, that's pretty neat. Yeah, I may have to grab that and catch up on the days if it's still available. That's pretty neat. And then I guess the lesser pledges and stuff like that. Cool. Well, if you're interested, check it out. It does have an order link here at the top, so apparently you can still grab it directly from them. Not sure if you can get it from anywhere else, but worth a look if that looks interesting to you. So the other thing I wanted to talk about. So this is a Reddit post from a DM looking for looking for advice on how he handles a situation here. So this in essence is a DM talking about a player who doesn't not too big on having his character die. So I'm before I comment, I'm just going to read it and then we'll go through it and talk about it. So it says, this is coming from a DM. I have a player that has informed me that they have a preference for not having their character killed in a campaign. This player is okay with doing combat, but is largely interested in roleplay and said they have wanted to play D&D for a while, but were scared because they get attached to their characters and believe that since death can happen in D&D, they were worried seeing it happen to a character they got attached to could be very upsetting for them. They are slightly embarrassed by this and ask me not to tell the other players who are okay with death happening to their characters. Now, I will tell you my thoughts, but I wanted to see how other DMs feel. While I agree with other DMs that death adds stakes and permanence to a campaign and can often elevate the roleplay and drama to another level, I have had games as a player and a DM where a PC death really upped the scale and how locked in everyone is. I also recognize people play for different things. I thanked this player for being honest with me about what they want and told them not to worry about it. I will work around them not wanting their player to die, but that doesn't mean they're immune to combat or that their decisions don't matter. They can still be knocked down and their actions will still have consequences in the future for their character, as well as impacts the other players as well. I just won't be going for the throat on them, and they need to make sure the rest of the table is okay with it. They agreed and brought it up to the table, and they were okay with it because they cared more about them playing with us than what their personal stakes were. Okay, so I'll throw this up there. Yeah, hot take incoming, right? So, all right. So let me just start off first. I want to get this out of the way. If this player is a child, or if your table is, you're running a game for kids and they're, 12 or under, totally fine. If they're, they may not be into those kind of stakes and you may want to run a lighter game for them, and that is totally understandable. I've done it before myself. And, you want to play to the table, right? And if that's the situation, then by all means cater it to that, right? Not gonna criticize that at all, but I don't think that's what we're looking at here. And I will also say that, if this is a convention game, then he's probably right to bring it up at the very beginning. And the fact that the DM spoke to his player privately is good, because you don't want to drag this out at the table in front of everybody if it's sensitive to them. Talk to them in private. That's where these kind of discussions belong anyway, right? So, but the DM has a responsibility, and it's not just to single players. You have a responsibility to your table as a whole, and you also have a responsibility to create a fair play environment across the players, and eh, to create a certain verisimilitude in your game. Um, and if you have one player where the consequences aren't applied, then it begins to create an atmosphere. Hey, poor orc child. Yes, this silly topic. I'm not going to spend too long on this. Don't worry. I just want to kind of get this out of the way, and I just don't. I need to make sure that people understand that sometimes the game that you're running is not always going to be for everyone. And, with my longtime group, this kind of thing, of course, is not an issue. We all know each other. But if you have somebody new to your group, and I have brought in somebody new recently, at the very beginning, before we even start playing, uh, kill their character. Oh gosh, I gotta highlight this one. Kill their character and move on. Yeah, well, tongue in cheek, yes, but anyway, yeah. Um, at the beginning of the game, whenever you bring a new player on, you want to set a level set with them, and how the game's going to be. There's going to be language, there's going to be violence, there's going to be death. Those are the kind of things that I like to say up front. There's not going to be any romance. It'll be, fade to black or whatever, all that kind of stuff. There could be character relationships, but anything other than the most mild of things gets glossed over at my table anyway. But anyway, that's the kind of thing that you set up front. And if somebody is uncomfortable with that, then your game may not be for them, and that's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with your players for wanting a game like that. There's nothing wrong with you as a GM for running a game like that, and there's nothing wrong for making sure that your table works together as a whole. I will say that I would tell a person like this that's asking me that, if, like it says here that they're playing D&D, that's the most forgiving system I've ever seen. There's, if you're playing D&D, there's chances out the wazoo to get your character resurrected or revived or anything else like that for most situations. It's very forgiving. And, in my games, I've run a lot of Warhammer Fantasy. There's a way to handle it there too. You have fate points, and that's a good thing to bring up to a person like that is, you have a number of fate points for your character that's essentially get out of jail free, where the GM is able to make a narrative case of, you didn't actually take that horrible blow that, decapitated you. You ducked at the last minute and you banged your head on the stone tile and you went unconscious, and you wake up after the combat or something like that. And then when you get down, if you're making a lot of bad decisions and you're down to 0 fate points, then if you don't want your character to die, then maybe it's time for that character to retire or move along. But anyway, that's just kind of the short take that I wanted to get out of the way and talk about, because, again, not every game is going to be for every player. And if you're that concerned about dying and death, then maybe board games or some other kind of cozy RPG thing might be more your speed, and that's fine. To each his own. But you have a responsibility to your players, right? And you have a responsibility to them to make sure that their contributions to the game are they're held at the same level as other players at the table, right? If they're willing to risk their characters, then everybody should be willing to risk their characters. But anyway, that's kind of how I feel about that, and we'll move on. So, okay, let's discuss that oath mark that we were talking about earlier, right? So, I did grab the quick start from that off of drive through. It was free, and there it is. So, and it's a pretty hefty quick start. It's 88 pages, and jumping over to the table of contents here and taking a look at that. So yeah, we've got rules. We've got your characters. Tells you how to play, combat, delving, equipment, magic, and a bestiary. That's a pretty good quick start, I'd say. Um, your standard introduction. So dice pool. So Oathhammer dice are always six-sided. Uh, yep. Gaming aids. So it's six-sided pool. Looks like it's got a setting involved that comes with it. All right. So you select a lineage. You assign attribute ranks, declare 3 oaths, and select a class. That's interesting. So characters' physical and mental abilities are measured through their attributes. Each attribute ranges from rank 1 poor to rank 4. Characters begin with 1 rank 4 attribute, 2 rank 3, 2 2s, and 1 1. And I would be willing to bet that when they're talking about ranks, it probably equals the number of dice you roll. So you got might, toughness, agility, willpower, intelligence, and fate. And grit points, they measure how much physical punishment. So it's their ranks in resilience and toughness. So that's probably going to be your hit points. You got some luck point stuff here. That's cool. Then lineages. So we have dwarves. I won't go through every one of them, but let's see what a lineage looks like. So they get a bonus to attack and defense rolls. They get some skill ranks. Looks like. Ponderous, so acrobatics penalty, and a stalwart, a bonus to toughness. Okay, so there's a few things for each lineage. Not too heavy, but enough to give it some flavor. That's cool. So you got dwarves, furbolgs, halflings, high elves, humans. Of course, you get your versatile thing for humans. I always like that. It's a good way to make it attractive to play. Wood elves. Okay, so that's 2 kinds of elves. All right, so that's it. So it looks like 2 kinds of elves: a dwarf, furbolg, halfling, and a human. So okay, the furbolg's an interesting throw in there. That must be due to the setting. So this is what's interesting to me. So you have oaths here, right? So characters declare 3 oaths that guide their conduct. If a character adheres to the tenets of their oath, they benefit from the oath's boon. And should a character violate, then they incur its bane instead. And apparently it's a way to redeem yourself. So let's look at a couple of them. So let's look at Oath of Courage here. While you're not expected to act impetuously, you must oppose evil, thwarting the wicked when possible. You can carefully choose your fights, but cannot surrender to evil foes. So on a boon, you get a +1 to your discipline checks and cannot be frightened. Oh, that's powerful. And a bane, if you break your oath, would be a -2 to discipline, and you incur a -1 penalty to leadership checks. Makes sense. Yeah, that tracks. So if it's an oath of courage and you break that oath, then people are probably not going to be that keen to follow you, right? I mean, that seems obvious. Let's see. Oath of Faith. That seems interesting. +1 bonus to spell saves and a -2 to spell saves on a bane. So you've got compassion, courage, diligence, faith, humility, justice, loyalty, peace, perseverance, purity, truth, and wisdom. Well, that's a pretty good list. I'm sure you can probably find 3 of them there, and I would be willing to bet that the full rules are a little bit more fleshed out, of course, right? So maybe there'll be a few extra in there. So that's cool. So if you adhere to it, then you benefit from the oath, and I guess that means you just get it all the time. As long as you're staying true to your oath, it's kind of like I guess a passive bonus that stays active all the time. And the same thing on the Bane, if you're kind of outside of your oath. Okay, classes. While classes establish prior training, they do not restrict how the character grows and adapts. Perfect. That is great. That's exactly how I love to see classes play. It's formative for you to start the game, but it's not restrictive after the fact. You can kind of go your own way. It allows players to take their characters in the direction of how roleplay goes. That way, when you're 10th level, you've decided that your character actually would probably make more sense going down a different route. You're not kind of hampered by multi-classing rules or things like that. You can just kind of start heading that direction. So let's look at a couple of these. So Berserker. So they get Death Dealer. Once per encounter, you can perform a melee attack as an auxiliary action. Ignore Pain. They get some starting skills, some armor and weapons, equipment, and class traits. So they're only available. You begin with 1 trait and acquire more through character advancement. Okay, so these are going to act like traits, talents that you find in other things. You get, looks like 1 at the beginning and can buy more. So you get quite a few here. So there's several, and they're typical to a Berserker barbarian type, right? Yeah, these are good. These are very evocative of it, right? So Withering Blows. A Delver. What is a Delver? So explore lost ruins are known as adventurers who explore lost ruins are known as Delvers. Venture into dangerous places in pursuit of treasure while others seek evil to destroy. Not only must they be acrobatic, cunning, and dexterous, but they must be lucky. Interesting. Sounds like a little twist on a rogue type, maybe. Light armor, bow, common weapons and bows. So yeah. Nimble Finger, Shadow Step. Yeah, I'm definitely getting rogue vibes here with more dungeon focused, right? Your Mage. Be interesting to see how they handle magic. So they get Magic Bolt as an action. You may make a magic ranged attack against a target within 100 feet. It's resolved using your magic skill rather than your shooting skill. Base damage 2 and a -1 penalty to armor rolls. So apparently rolling your armor is an active thing you do to defend. That's interesting. I've only seen that in a couple of other games. And so they get their special traits here. Okay, so they can learn and cast spells. Oh, that's nice. You begin with 8 spells of your choice. That's good. A lot of games restrict you to much lower than that as a starting character. So that's pretty flexible at 8. Very good. So yeah, typical mage stuff. Magic wand, quick spell. These seem like meta magic almost. A priest. So they can do miracles. So it's their own. So you begin with 4 miracles. Divine intervention. Once per encounter, you may perform a magic check on a black dice. That's interesting. I'm curious to know what a black dice is. Okay, and then you have special traits here that are not restricted by class. Okay, so anybody can take these. Cool. All right. There's quite a bit. Okay, so there's a few classes here, not a ton for the quick start, but that's plenty, I'd say, to get you started. So you gain experience. Looks like by. Hey Matthew. Sounds like a perfect player for Magical Kitties Save the Day. Oh, you're talking about the other earlier conversation. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably a good candidate for that. So it looks like you gain experience by upholding your oaths. Oaths. 50 experience each session. And then Adventure XP. So it's per session, and looks like it's kind of up to the GM. And then you spend it per skill rank or spell and trait. Okay, so this is pretty, kind of giving me Forbidden Lands vibes to a degree. All right, so let's see what the mechanic is here. So when you perform an action, proficiency in a skill is measured in ranks and governed by an attribute. When resolving a check, the character rolls a number of dice equal to their ranks in the skill plus the ranks in the skill's governing attribute, and the total is their dice pool. Yep, okay, that's common for dice pool. So it's attribute plus skill ranks. So white dice are standard and succeed on a 4-up. Red dice succeed on a 3-up, and black dice on a 2-up. Okay, this is cool. I haven't seen this one before. Certain items and traits may convert your white dice to red or black. Dice pools may also be negatively influenced so that red or black dice are converted to white. And dice explode when they result on a 6, allowing you to roll an additional die and add the result. Okay, I like that. I love exploding dice. If you roll a second 6, they roll again, so it continues to explode. I would be interested, it doesn't say specifically, but I wonder if you roll if you roll a, well, I guess it doesn't matter what color it is, because it's only a 6, right? Still though, pretty cool. I like the dice color mechanic. That's neat. That's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. Okay, so standard checks involve a difficulty value, which is the number of successes necessary to pass the check. So a difficulty value 1 check passes, they roll a single success or more. With a difficulty 5, requires 5 successes. Okay, that's common. So you have opposed checks with the greatest number of successes. Yep, that's typical. Dice modifiers. So how do they handle modifiers? When you receive a bonus to a roll, they roll an additional number of dice indicated by the bonus. Yep, makes sense. So you probably throw in white dice, if I was to guess. For example, a +2 bonus would grant the character 2 additional dice. Penalties reduce the number of dice they may roll. Okay. Yeah, that's typical for dice pool systems. So you got support from allies, and then you have your skills here. So you got typical here of skills. I'm not seeing anything. Defense skill. This is interesting. So determines your ability to evade and parry attacks. Okay, so that's going to be based on a skill. When you're attempting to defend against a melee attack, you may choose might as the governing attribute for the roll. All right, so you can choose agility or might. Interesting. And I assume, yep, fighting. So that's your accuracy and melee attacks. All right, so your attacks and defense are based off of the same mechanic. So you're going to be, it's not a separate mechanic for attacking and defending. It's the same across the board, where it's skills or fighting. That's cool. Magic. So it looks like your magic rolls are going to be on the same plane as well. Measures how much divine or arcane power you can wield. When performing miracles, willpower is the attribute for the roll. Intelligence governs the skill when you cast spells. Makes sense. Okay, and you have shooting, of course. You got a good list of spells, or not spells, but skills. I'm glad to see that they put stealth as one thing instead of doing like what they used to do a long time ago of like hide and move silent. Okay, what's initiative look like? At the beginning of an encounter, one combatant from each rival company does an opposed leadership check, and the leader who wins this initiative roll may choose which company goes first. Once every combatant has acted within the company's turn, the other one begins its turn. That's cool. That's interesting. So that makes leadership more of a thing here. That's neat. So you get surprise rounds. It's looks like an opposed attack and defense rolls. You're rolling damage dice. Armor. They talked about this earlier. So if the defender is wearing armor, they roll a number of armor dice equal to their armor value. Okay, so that's like Forbidden Lands in One Ring, where you make an armor roll. That's cool. I kind of like that. It's an active defense. So in addition to rolling your defense dice, if you get hit, you're going to roll your armor dice as well. And then you get armor modifiers here, probably for armor penetration. Yep, some attacks ignore armor and prevent you from making the roll altogether. Okay. And then, so you get an action and a single auxiliary action on each of your turns in addition to their normal action. So it looks like I didn't see a move. So it looks like you get one action and one auxiliary. So typical attack, disarm, hold, cast magic. Okay, this is pretty limited, but I wonder if it's just because of the quick start. I'll bet you the full version has a much more expanded action list. Drawing weapons, grappling, polearm brace, dual wielding, movement. Okay, so they may move up to 25 feet during their turn. Movement can be broken up so that a combatant moves before and after an action. That's cool. I like that. That makes much more dynamic combat. Charge, flying, prone. Let's see, ammunition here. So it does track ammunition, it looks like. Got some line of sight stuff here. Opportunity attacks. Okay. It looks like that's pretty limited, so hopefully you don't get bogged down with that too much. You got some disengage. Some area effect templates. Damage by type, so different types of damage. Cool. Damage resistance. So if you poses a penalty to damage rolls. Invulnerability. Death and injury. So when you're reduced to 0 grit, you're injured and must roll on a D66 on the critical injury chart. That's cool. Okay, so they do have crits. Okay, so you've got multiple injuries, death on real low, and looks like it goes from most damaging at the low to the least damaging at the highest. Okay, and you got more. Oh, that's cool. So you have a different critical injury chart for each damage. So this must be the standard, just like physical damage. And then you have flaming damage. Ignited weapon. That's cool. You're consumed by fire and you immediately drop it. Your weapon is consumed by fire and you immediately drop it. You may pick up and use the weapon following your next turn. Oh, darn, man. I thought it would accidentally light it on fire and then you could attack people with it. No such luck. Frost, lightning, poison. Oh, that's cool. I really like how they have different crit charts depending on the damage type. So it looks like you've got morale, devastating hits, healing. So you can do first aid if you've got healing skill, it looks like, and natural healing. And then, of course, your typical conditions. It's looking pretty good, guys, I gotta say. Then we get to delving. So Okay, so this tells you about, I guess, the different rules for working a dungeon. All right, so you got your climbing, falling, jumping, all that, locks, traps. I gotta say is even how far have we went? We went 57 pages through 88, so 2/3 of the way roughly. I, for a quick start, this is fairly comprehensive. I mean, you could have a game with this. I like it. So traps, a good number of traps. Darkness, dwarf holds. Okay, so this must be setting specific stuff. Okay, yeah. Okay, then we get into equipment. Item slots. So, amount of equipment a character can carry is measured in item slots. The weight and size of an object determine how many it occupies. Characters begin with 10 item slots and an additional 2 for every rank they have in might. Okay, so that's a good. I like simple encumbrance systems like that. That's cool. Let's see how interesting weapons are. That's always a key one for me. If it's just a damage die, that's kind of boring. I like to see weapon traits. Armor penetration value, damage. Melee weapons deal a number of damage dice equal to the character's might plus a modifier. That sounds like Warhammer. Weapon item slots, range, reach, weapon traits. Here we are. Okay, what do we see here? Block, brutal. Oh, there's your colored dice. So if it's a brutal weapon, you roll red damage dice with this weapon, which I think hits on 3 up if I remember right. That's cool. Couched, deadly. Oh, you roll black damage dice. Yeah, this is way cool, guys. I'm digging this. Fast weapons, bonus to attack, nimble, parry. So you roll red dice on defense against melee attacks. That's cool. That's cool. All right. I love how they're scaling this with the dice color. Stunning sweep, two-handed. Requires 2 hands to attack this weapon, though they can retain this weapon while using a free hand. Versatile. Reload. Okay. So hand axe, brutal. It gets the red dice. So looks like so M must be your might plus whatever damage dice it has here. Armor penetration, the item slots, that's cool. They have reach. Yeah, for a quick start, this is a good decent amount of variety here. I'm excited to kind of see what they have in the full version. Dueling. What do shields do here? Are the shields in the weapon list or the armor? Yet they're here. So they get block, parry, and stunning. What does block do? You roll red defense dice against ranged attacks while wielding this weapon. You also gain +1 bonus to defense rolls against ranged attacks. Okay, so that's block, and then what else does the shield get? Parry, which we read about, and stunning. Okay, I guess that's the shield bash, right? Heavy weapons. Okay, that's neat. Pole arms, throwing. Okay, you get different kinds of ammunition. Oh, and even, yes, all right. So they have different types of non-magical arrows. That's cool. So you've got bodkin arrows, envenomed, incendiary, and even a little detail about your quivers: a back quiver, a hip quiver, and they cost different item slots. That's neat. I've never seen quivers detailed in that way. Armor. Okay, so armor value is the number of dice you roll. And then there's a couple of armor traits: clanging for stealth checks, reinforced, which means you perform armor rolls on red dice. That's cool. So mail shirt, rolling 4 dice there. Elven, heavy mail, plate armor. 9. You're rolling 9 dice on that for the plate armor. It's crazy. healing, food and drink, miscellanea. Oops. Light sources, vehicles. Yeah, so outside of the weapons and armor, it's pretty skimpy, but that's okay. Totally okay. Magic. Alright, so spells have a difficulty value, it looks like. So to roll your magic skill against, I assume. Arcane stress. Each time you roll a 1 while making a magic check, you incur a point of arcane stress. You have a threshold equal to your ranks in willpower plus your ranks in magic. When you meet or exceed it, they can no longer cast spells. Ah, okay. So so if you don't have slots, this is their way of checking you on how many times you're casting spells. That's a good way. So it looks like it dispenses with like the magic failure table or whatever, and you just get stress that you build up instead. I kind of like that. Warhammer uses the magic mishaps, and so does Forbidden Lands. But looks like with the stress here, that's a different way to handle it. Grimoires. Let's look here. Spells. Oh, these are enhancements to spells. So you can improve and modify them through spell enhancements. Okay, you can apply more than one to a spell, though you may not apply the same one more than once. Interesting. So you've got elemental magic. A lot of spells here. Okay, miracles. Okay, so looks like maybe just for the quick start, just one tradition is in the quick start. And then you have a list of miracles here. Yeah, and one tradition of miracles. So that's okay. That gets you something to start with, and it gives you some monsters. Nice little stat box for those. And you get multiple levels of them. The goons, bosses, wolf riders. Okay, several hobgoblins. Cult of Maloga. That sounds threatening. Orcs. Okay. Limited, but still playable, right? And then you get a little character sheet here at the end. Looks pretty neat, guys, I gotta say. I might have to pick this one up to check it out. This looks pretty like a promising little game. Oh me. Well, that's kind of what I had for tonight. I don't know. Looks like there's only a couple of you still in. Hope you enjoyed it tonight. We took a look at a few things. Hope you enjoyed the look at that little quick start for Oathhammer. Go check it out if you're interested. I'll probably put it in the description at some point, but it's easy to find. But hope y'all had a good time, and if there's nothing else, then we'll probably wrap it for tonight. So again, if you haven't checked it out yet, check out my encounter autopsy that I just posted yesterday, and see if that's something that's up your alley. And it's pretty exciting to make. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. So if you enjoy the content that we've been having here and having fun with us, then please give me a subscribe and a like on the video. But more importantly, share it with some of your friends. I'm trying to build a community here, and that way we have more people on the stream and get a little bit more interaction and stuff like that. If you show up on the stream, don't hesitate to interact. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your week, and we will see you guys on Friday. Have a good night.